Hi everybody, it's week 14 and we're going to be talking about chapter 33 and 34 in Rawls and Bean. And the second half of chapter 33 really focuses on recent gubernatorial administrations. So probably a good way to start this section is to look back at Gray Davis. Many of you were alive at some point during his term, although some of you may not remember it. But he certainly made a number of very interesting choices and was also the victim of some very unfortunate circumstances for him. And of course the recall was the final nail in his political coffin. Schwarzenegger's terms as governor are also fascinating to look at. So looking particularly at his successes and his emphases and his relationship with the legislature, I think is really an interesting way of looking at him as governor, because his life after his gubernatorial term has certainly not been as high profile or successful, I think, as he would have wanted, or maybe some people would have anticipated. I think it's ironic that Jerry Brown was elected in 1974 as the state's youngest governor ever, and he is now the state's oldest governor ever as he finishes his last term as governor in the next 2 years. Looking at the challenges that he faced in his first 2 terms as contrasted with those that he's faced since 2011 when he took office again might be a good way of looking at the continuity and the change that has happened in California, and in particularly California politics. And then in chapter 34, the emphasis, I think very appropriately, is on the environment, because that's one thing that the text hasn't really talked about as much. We've seen how the goals of environmentalists have had some continuity, but they've also had some change, and that the industries of California have had a strain on our land, our air, our water, and the quality of life that we have in California. Looking at people like John Muir and organizations like the Sierra Club, I think, are important when you understand that. And then another interesting topic is the construction of the peripheral canal. Looking at who was for it and who was against it, I think is a good way of looking at that. Is this just a continuity of the conflicts that we've had over land and property and water rights since the gold rush, or was this a completely new thing? And how do you explain the vote that happened in 1982 on the peripheral canal? Then jumping ahead just a little bit, the electrical energy crisis that we had, and this is something that Gray Davis had to deal with while he was governor, is probably a good thing for you to discuss, because maybe it manifested some problems that we'd been facing all along. Maybe we were not the masters of our own fate when it came to utilities, and maybe it was simply Gray Davis being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But I think it is an interesting sign that we do have limits on what we can do and what our planet is capable of. So, as usual, if you have any questions, please be in touch with me. I'll be in my office sometime this week. Stay tuned for exactly when. We've got a conference on Tuesday, and I hope to see you then. All right, see you soon.